Hello, everybody. This is Sinema77, horror and cult film lover, back with another video. And today we're going to talk about another sexy erotic thriller. Hope everybody's happy. I know I am. I do love my erotic thrillers. And today we're going to talk about a really good classic one. This movie came out in 1984, and this one is really good. It's Brian DePalma's Body Double. Um, this movie here, that's kind of the thing. I almost want to say that it is a takeoff of Rear Window, but by the way, if you've never seen Rear Window, go ahead and watch it. It's a Hitchcock masterpiece. It's wonderful. And can I just go ahead and get this out right now? In my opinion, nobody in probably nobody in the history of cinema ever directed a kissing scene better than Hitchcock did. I mean, just the way he did it, the passion, the intensity, the closeness, the intimacy of it, and everything else. I mean, I got several of them saved to my like videos list, and like the scene from Notorious, the scene from the way Grace Kelly kisses Jimmy Stewart in Rear Window is just makes you melt. I mean, the opening kissing scene in Psycho, between Janet Leigh and John Gavin, just the way he did, it's like just my opinion, it's like seriously, nobody really directs a kissing scene as good as Hitchcock did. Well, Blake Edwards did pretty close in one of the Pink Panther movies with I think it was Leslie and Down and Peter Sellers. That was pretty sexy too. Anyway, sorry, off on a tangent. We're back on the movie now. Okay. The movie came out in 1984. It's co-written and directed by Brian De Palma. It was based on an original story by De Palma, but this movie is really good. It's a lot better. Like I said, it is a takeoff on Rear Window, but the thing was, if you'd seen the documentary about Brian De Palma, or if you'd seen any interviews with him and stuff like that, I mean, the man never really shied away that he was influenced by Hitchcock, and as far as he even admitted, he said in interviews and stuff that he thought that Hitchcock was the greatest director, one of the greatest directors of all time, and he told the best stories, and he admitted that he borrowed from him. So I mean, that was the thing. I mean, Hitchcock never denied it, just as Quentin Tarantino has never denied that he's borrowed, elements in his movies and imagery and things like that from Brian De Palma. So, but yeah, I mean, this movie's really good, and you know, um, it's pretty sexy, pretty erotic. The movie stars Craig Wasson, who, if you're a horror movie fan, you're mostly going to remember him as the doctor from Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, with Heather Langenkamp. He's really good in this. He plays Jake Scully. He's an actor. He's kind of a struggling actor. We see him in the beginning of the movie. He's playing like a vampire. Kind of looks like a Billy Idol. I mean, you could tell this movie definitely is an 80s film. I mean, you could tell by, you watch this movie, you see the way people dress, the hairstyles, the clothing, everything else, you could tell that, you could tell this is 80s movie. And he's all dressed up kind of like Black Larry. He's got kind of like hair, he, like I said, he looks like Billy Idol if Billy Idol was playing a vampire. And he's, getting ready to do this scene with this woman, this beautiful naked woman in the shower and stuff like that. And it's like you hear a cut, and then you realize that the director is played by Dennis Franz, and the two of them are kind of getting into an argument and stuff like that. So he's just kind of, I think he gets fired and stuff. And then, so he's kind of just trying to enjoy his day and everything else. He goes and gets, some food to take home. He's with his girlfriend and stuff, or wife, one of the two. And, I believe that's Barbara Crampton, as a matter of fact, because he walks in, he sees his wife naked riding another guy and all this other kind of stuff. She's just kind of looking at him like, you want to shut the door and stuff like that. And like I said, I'm pretty certain that that's Barbara Crampton playing the woman there. So he just closes the door, he leaves and everything else. So he's hanging out in a bar and he's depressed. Career's in the shitter, love life is in the shitter. What else can I do? And all this other kind of stuff. So Greg Henry shows up, and he's, well, actually, no, he goes to a acting class, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of fucking up a little bit here. I'm sorry, but But anyway, he goes to an acting class, and like this acting teacher is trying to get him to emote in a certain way, and trying to get him to use like sense memory and everything else to get him to like put himself in the moment as an actor and things like that. And he gets insulted. Greg Henry's character gets insulted. So they're drinking in a bar and stuff, and Greg Henry's asking him, just talking to him, hey, what's going on? What's going on with you? And everything else. And Craig Wasson tells him, basically his life's kind of in the shitter right now and all this other kind of stuff. And Greg Henry's like, well, I think I might have a little bit of a solution to kind of help you out. And, he's all like, I'm house sitting for a friend and stuff like that. But, I have to go. I have to leave on a gig and stuff like that. But, hey, would you, want to go ahead and house at this place for me and everything? Really nice house, really posh and plush, posh and everything else, really cool and all this kind of stuff. You'll love it and everything else. And Craig Wallace is like, hey, yeah, any help I can get, I appreciate. So he's like, okay, so go ahead and come on with me, and we'll, I'll take you up here. We can, you can see the place and everything else and get yourself settled in. Great. So it goes up, and everything else. And he's showing him around the house. And I mean, you could tell this is like really kind of, like I said, you can tell this movie's very 80s, kind of like the way the house is designed and everything else. So they're looking around the house and checking everything out and stuff. And, he's all like, hey, I got something really cool to show you, and all this stuff. He's all like, yeah, just before I get ready to go, I got this really cool thing to show you. So they go over and there's a telescope that's like hanging out the window. Sorry. Dry throat again. So anyway, so they're looking out the window and stuff like that. And, he's all like, look over here and all that. Okay, it's showtime and everything else. Well, it turns out that there's like this house across the way, and there's this gorgeous woman, and she's doing this kind of erotic, like striptease kind of thing. Almost said lap dance. Like, no, she doesn't do a lap dance, but she's doing this really erotic striptease, and then she's getting into this masturbation thing and all that other kind of stuff. And no disrespect at all to women at all, but it's just that's the thing, when a guy sees a beautiful woman masturbating, it's it just draws you in. It's like no disrespect to women at all, but it's just all like it's one of the most, you see a beautiful woman masturbating, it's just one of the most amazing things you'll ever see in your life. Just something about it. So anyway, so he's completely taken in by this and everything else. And so Greg Henry's like, yeah, pretty amazing, isn't it? Isn't she just stunning? So it's like, so I gotta go and all this other kind of stuff, take care of the place, and all this other kind of stuff. So he leaves. So Craig Wasson's just kind of hanging around and stuff like that. Just happy he's got a place to stay and everything else. And so, he's sitting there, he's kind of like, oh, I shouldn't do it. I shouldn't be a voyeur and stuff like that. But then he goes and he, starts watching her again and, sees her doing it again and everything else. But the more he watches her, the one thing he starts to notice is that there's somebody else watching her. And it's not just a guy watching her, um, it's not just a guy watching her, get undressed and do her routine and stuff like that. This guy is like more like stalking, and he's being really creepy and being really weird and stuff like that. And so he's not, he's getting to where he's more concerned about this woman, and so he's trying to figure out a way to let her know that there's a possibility she might be in danger. And so, like at one point, she's going out for the day and he decides to follow her and everything, just kind of keep an eye on her and stuff like that. And he knows that, Craig Wasson knows that she's being followed by this other guy too. And this other guy, he looks like he's Native American and stuff like that. I believe he calls it in the movie, he calls him the Indian and stuff. So he's following her around and everything else. And the woman is played by the actress Deborah Shelton. And so he's following her around and stuff like that. And he goes and he's just kind of following her and checking on her and stuff like that. Like she's going into this, she's talking on a phone, she's going into a fancy clothing shop where she's trying on new underwear and all this other kind of stuff. And it's like even the sales lady sees Craig Wasson watching her and stuff like that, and calling security on him and stuff like that. And at one point, he even she comes out and she takes her all panties and throws them away, and He takes him. I don't really know why he takes him. Does he take him as a souvenir or what? But but anyway, though, so yeah, she's and he's watching her and everything else, and then finally at one point they're on the beach and stuff like that, and this guy, the Indian, he comes and he takes her purse, and Craig Wasson follows after him and stuff, and then he's following them into a tunnel, and then we realize that Craig Wasson, he has a panic attack because it turns out he's claustrophobic. He can't take closed in places, which, admittedly, like I said, is kind of that Hitchcock influence that De Palma always said that he had, was, taken from Vertigo. So you could see that, like, okay, so, but instead of Vertigo stuff, like, this fear of heights kind of a thing and stuff, that it's more of claustrophobia, fear of closed in places. So, so he's not able to get her purse back and everything else. And then, she comes and she's like, "Are you okay?" and everything else, and gets him out of there. And, and they start making out. I mean, hot and heavy, very sexy, very, that's the thing. I mean, I will say that Brian De Palma, I mean, he can direct anything. We know that. If you're a Brian De Palma fan, the man can direct any kind of movie he wanted. We know he did a great movie. He did a great gangster movie, Scarface. He did, great, horror film with like Carrie and The Fury and all this. I mean, he did a musical with Phantom of the Paradise and all this other. So I mean, Brian De Palma can direct anything. So it's like, the music, by Pino Donaggio is, fantastic, and it's very lush and sensual, erotic, and everything else. The woman just looks so amazing and all this other kind of stuff. And so, I mean, that's one thing. Brian De Palma definitely is really brilliant at directing erotica. He can direct erotic love scenes and just make them just, kind of like, oh, melts your butter. But anyways, she's all like, no, I can't get too wrapped up in this and everything else. And so she goes off, and so that night he's trying to figure out a way to call her because he's still worried about her because the guy's still out there and everything else. But he wants to call her and try to figure out how he's going to apologize to her where she won't think he's a creep and just all this other kind of stuff. So then you get into this really brilliant, intensely suspenseful, scary scene where, he's looking at her through the telescope and everything else, and then he sees that the Indian is back and he's coming in. He's got this huge, like almost like jackhammer sized power drill and stuff like that, and he's coming to kill her. And so he's like trying to, and he's sneaking into the house, and all this kind of stuff. He's got he's getting ready to strangle her with the telephone cord. And, you got that classic Suspense scene where she's in there. He's like, no, get out of the house, all this other kind of stuff. And, so he calls her on the phone, and everything. He's like, get out of the house, get out of the house. And, that's when he comes up and starts strangling her with the phone cord and stuff like that. And so, so Jake is all like, oh my God, I got to get to her. So he's going and trying to get over to the house and stuff like that. And, he runs into these two joggers. He's like, this woman's being killed. I need you guys to help me. And so they're all trying to run to this house and everything else. And he gets attacked by a dog and all this other kind of, they get into the house. He gets attacked by a dog and everything. And the two joggers are trying to get him off. Well, in the meanwhile, Deborah Shelton, her character, Gloria, I believe her character is called, she's able to kind of fight the guy off a little bit, and she's trying to call for help, and she's coughing because she was strangled and stuff like that. But he gets up, and then he gets the power drill and stuff like that, and um so uh so yeah, kind of like now we're getting into the slumber party massacre territory, and all this stuff. And at one point she's on the floor, and he's got the drill that's going through. So on the bottom you can see like like from Craig Wasson's point of view, he's got the dog like on top of him, but he can see through the ceiling that the drill bit is coming through the ceiling, and you see blood pouring down and stuff like that. That she's being murdered and everything else, and very scary, very suspenseful, well done scene and everything else. And then so at the end, they get the dog off of him, cops come and everything else, and he's destroyed. He wanted to save the girl's life, but he couldn't do it. Just didn't happen. So he's, upset and distraught, and he's grieving and everything else that he couldn't save her. And, so he's at home, he's watching porn and stuff like that. And, he's got this rotating bed he's watching porn on and stuff. And then, he starts watching these porno trailers and everything else. And then he notices Melanie Griffith's character, who she's right there in the back there. her name in the movie is Holly Body, which I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure either before or after this movie, there did emerge a porn actress named Holly Body. But so he starts noticing, she's doing this movie, a trailer for this movie called Holly Does Hollywood and everything else, and he starts, but he's looking through and he sees this little clip, and it's he's all like, wow, wait a minute, she's doing this really sexy, erotic kind of masturbation dance and stuff like that, and it looks exactly like what Gloria did. And so, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. So he's like, and they say the movie's available, to rent. This is another way this movie's from the 80s. This movie's available at your local video store. So he goes in, he's all like, you got the movie on VHS? And yeah, we got VHS, beta, all this other kind of stuff. So he gets the movie and rents it, and he's at home, he's skipped through everything else. And so, he puts on the scene and everything, and he's all like, he's stunned because it's the exact same thing, that what, Gloria did. And so, he works his way into getting into doing a porno with her. He goes, auditions, everything else. And he gets to do, and then there's this kind of elaborate, almost music video kind of a scene where you got, Frankie Goes to Hollywood singing the song, relax, everybody knows that song. Relax, don't do it when you want to get to it. Sorry, hopefully I didn't scare everybody off with my singing, but so anyway, so he gets, it does this bathroom scene with her and everything else, and he gets in this, it's kind of really sexy, and she's all dressed up in leather, but she's got this little kind of like crotch piece she takes off so he can penetrate her and stuff like that. And Melanie Griffith, she's very sexy, very beautiful, very luscious and everything else. And so, they have this sex scene and everything else. And then kind of a little funny moment where one of the guys behind the camera is arguing with the director, where's the cum shot? Don't we need a cum shot and all this other kind of stuff and everything else. And so, cuts to Melanie Griffith, her character, Holly Body. She's in her dressing room and she's, getting done for the day and everything. Craig Wasson comes in, he invites her out for a drink and all this other kind of stuff. And he's, trying to, smooth talk her and everything else. And it starts to work. So then, they're at a bar and they're having like small talk and everything else. And telling he wants to put her in a movie. He wants to produce a porno movie and put her in. And she's all like, okay, there's no coming on my face. I don't do anal, this and that and all. He's like, okay, sounds good to me and all this kind of stuff. But you realize like Craig Wasson is actually more interested in what does she know, if she knows anything about this murder and stuff like that. So it gets her back to his place and she's about ready to seduce him and everything else. Like, here, I need to audition for you, don't I? And all this kind of stuff. And so that's when he breaks down. He tells her, I'm not a producer. I'm not trying to make a movie and all this other kind of stuff. And she's saying he's a pervert, a weirdo, and a creep, and she wants to get away from him. And so he's all like, I need to talk to you. Do you know anything about this? And so he takes her to the telescope and like, look down there. And he's like trying to explain, do you know anything about this? And all this other kind of stuff. And then I don't want to try to give away too much of the ending for anybody who hasn't seen the movie, but she does admit that the whole essence of the movie Body Double is that Holly Body, Melanie Griffith's character, does admit that she was basically hired as kind of a body double in the sense that she was hired to do this erotic masturbation thing to get him to watch her. That she was hired by the killer and stuff like that. And but it wasn't really Gloria he was watching the whole time. It was Holly Body that he was watching and stuff like that, made up to look like Gloria and stuff. And then the mystery is starting to unfold and unravel, and we start to reveal what's going on, who is the Indian, why is he killing, and all this other kind of stuff. But anyway, though, yeah, this movie is very well done. Brian DePalma, the photography is beautiful and everything else. I really wish this would get a great Blu-ray release. I really do. I think this would look, hell, even, right now, even 4K would be great, but yeah, this movie's, it's really beautiful. It's very well done. The cinematography is good. The women are beautiful and gorgeous, and there's not a ton of nudity, but there is some. But it's more about kind of like, like kind of making it, sexual and erotic and stuff like that. And that's what makes it kind of interesting and stuff. let's see, the music by Pino Donaggio is brilliant. I love Pino Donaggio's music scores. Everything he's ever done, The Howling, Carrie, um, God, Dress to Kill, Raising Cain. I mean, you name it. Pretty much any, even like Tourist Trap. I mean, I got the soundtrack to Tourist Trap, because Pino Donaggio's music is just so good. I love everything he does. But yeah, I highly recommend this movie. You want something sexy but thriller, kind of horror and stuff like that. This movie would really work, and Melanie Griffith gives a good performance, even though her character does kind of tend to be a little bit annoying, but around the end of the movie, but because it's like she's annoying because it's like she's not listening to reason, and stuff like that. So, but anyway, on a side note, sorry. On a side note, there is a movie. I really wish I could find this. I don't believe it's on DVD. It was on VHS back in the day, but as far as I know, this movie is completely gone. It's like erased from history, and it was basically like Playboy started doing a series of movies, and they were erotic and stuff, but they're kind of more like softcore. And the movie is called "I'm Watching You," and they did a number of these movies, but I think these movies they were kind of like these sexy, erotic type movies, but I think they were produced by Playboy, and they had like Playboy models in them and stuff like that. And that movie that was kind of the Playboy very sexy take on Rear Window, and you could tell. I mean, like when the women are in that movie, when the women are naked and everything, they got that kind of like perfect kind of body and kind of like the porcelain skin and all that other, like what you're used to seeing in Playboy pictures, Playboy magazine and stuff like it's the movie's very much shot and feels very much like something you would see in Playboy magazine. So I think they tried to do a series of movies like this, and I remember watching it, and the women in that movie are just beyond stunning. And like I said, that is a movie. If I could, I would love to find that on DVD. I wish it was released or re-released or put it on Blu-ray or something like that. But that's a movie I would love to get is that one, because that one is super sexy. That's really good. But like I said, it was on VHS at one point, but I think it's pretty much gone now. I don't think you can even find it anymore. And they did other movies too. They did like their version of Diabolique and other films too. But they were more because it was Playboy is more sexy, very much more erotic and stuff like that. But hey, if you can find a copy of it on VHS or whatever, I'm Watching You, put out by Playboy Pictures and stuff like that. Oh yeah, you're gonna want to see that one too. But anyway, though, Body Double, no slouch. I mean, this movie is so good. You can't believe everything you see. That's the tagline for it. But anyway, I've gone on long enough talking about this movie. But yeah, I want to thank you if you watched all of this. I appreciate you for watching it. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. And this is Sinema77, horror and cult film lover, and we got more, you know, DePalma erotic thrillers, and we just got more erotic movies coming anyway. So, but also we got other stuff too. Okay, I promise it's not just it's not just going to be one thing or another, but that's kind of the thing. Variety is a spice of life. So we're going to try to get a little bit of everything. But anyway, like I said, if you took the time to watch all this, I thank you so much for doing it. I know the movie's over, or the video's over 23 minutes, but thank you again, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.